The moment the handcuffs clicked around my wrists, I realized something most people never think about until it's too late. Power doesn't always show up loud. Sometimes it walks up calm, polite, and already convinced you're guilty. And the wildest part is 5 minutes earlier, I was just a woman walking my dog on a quiet sidewalk, minding my business, thinking about what kind of soup I might make for dinner. It was one of those crisp mornings where the air feels clean enough to drink leaves drifting down slow, like they've got nowhere else to be, and my schnauzer Duke was trotting beside me like he owned the street. No sirens, no shouting, no drama, just peace. Then I heard tires behind me rolling slow, not passing slow, following slow. You know that feeling when you can sense someone watching you even before you turn around? Yeah, that. The patrol car crept closer, then edged past me, then angled right onto the curb ahead, blocking the sidewalk like it had a reservation there. Door opened. Officer stepped out, sunglasses, jaw tight, posture stiff, like he'd already decided what this was about before he even said hello. "Ma'am, do you live around here? Yes or no? Not good morning, not sorry to bother you, just that." I stopped walking, but didn't step back. Duke sat down beside me like we'd rehearsed it. I said calm as I could, "Yes. Am I being detained?" That question always does something to people. It's like you flipped a switch they didn't expect you to know existed. He shifted his weight, hand resting near his belt. "I'm conducting an investigation. I need your ID." I looked at his nameplate, then at the little blinking light on his body cam, then back at him. If there's no reasonable suspicion of a crime, I'm not required to provide identification. I didn't say it sharp, didn't say it rude, just said it plain. Duke didn't move, didn't growl, just sat there breathing slow. The officer's mouth tightened. "There have been break-ins reported." I nodded slightly. "Where?" He didn't answer. When still nothing. Instead he stepped closer. Too close. "I need your identification." I tilted my head a little. "Am I free to go?" Number 3 seconds of silence. Wind through trees. Somewhere far off, a lawnmower humming. That's when the air changed. He tried a new angle. "This is about the dog. I need to see its tags and your paperwork." I glanced down. Duke's tag was shining in the sun like a mirror. The tag is visible. He's leashed. He's compliant. His voice hardened. "You're refusing to cooperate. I'm asking you to state the legal basis for this stop." That sentence right there. That's when I saw it. Not anger. Not confusion. Ego. Across the street, a woman watering plants slowed down. Motion lights clicked on above 2 porches. A teenage runner paused, turned, lifted his phone. People sense tension the way birds sense storms. The officer lowered his voice like that would make it sound official. "Show me your ID or you're being detained," I asked. "For what violation?" Silence again. Then he said it. "Turn around, hands behind your back, not loud, not yelling, just final." I nodded once. I am complying. I am not resisting. I dropped Duke's leash. He didn't move. Didn't even stand. I turned, slowly placed my wrists together behind me, fingers straight. Metal snapped shut. Click. Second cuff. Click. He tightened them more than he needed to. My shoulders lifted from the pressure. "These are too tight," I said evenly. He leaned closer and muttered, "Should have cooperated." That was the first thing he said that wasn't procedure. That was personal. Across the street, the neighbor lifted her phone higher. "I'm recording this." He glanced at her but didn't answer. I spoke a little louder so every microphone within 50 feet could hear. "I'm asking again, what specific violation?" He said, "Obstruction." I asked, "Obstruction of what?" No reply. Just his hand guiding me forward toward the patrol car. Duke stood when I moved. The neighbor stepped over, took the leash gently. "I'll hold him," I said. "Thank you." I ducked into the back seat myself. Hard plastic bench, no handle inside. Door slammed shut and the sound echoed like punctuation. The ride to the station took 15 minutes and not one word was spoken, just engine noise and the quiet realization settling in that I was being arrested without anyone ever telling me why. When we pulled into the garage, the metal gate clanged down behind us, and I remember thinking, well, this is really happening. Inside, booking fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, another officer looked up and asked. Charge mine answered fast like he'd practiced it. Failure to produce ID. Obstruction. The desk sergeant stood, walked around, looked at me, then leaned closer like he was double-checking something his brain didn't believe. His eyes widened a fraction. Officer, do you know who this is? Mine didn't answer. The sergeant's voice dropped about 10 degrees. Take the cuffs off her, now. She refused to provide identification. I said take them off. Keys fumbled. Metal unlocked. The cuffs slipped free. I rubbed my wrists and could already feel the heat rising under the skin. I'd like photographs of these, I said calmly, holding them under the fluorescent light. No one argued. Camera appeared. Flash. Another flash. Then the captain hurried in, adjusting his jacket, took one look at me and straightened like he'd just stepped into a courtroom instead of a booking room. Ma'am, I'm sorry. I didn't sit, didn't smile. I was detained without stated cause. I want all data preserved. Body cam footage, vehicle GPS dispatch logs, any reports started. He nodded immediately. Yes, ma'am. Behind him, Officer Sunglasses suddenly looked like he'd misplaced the ground under his feet. Because here's the twist he didn't see coming when he pulled onto that curb. I wasn't just some random woman walking her dog. I was Judge Caroline Hayes, presiding family court judge for the county, 22 years on the bench, thousands of cases reviewed, hundreds of unlawful arrests thrown out because procedure matters, whether anyone likes it or not. Yeah, that happened. I walked out of that station just after 11. No charges, no citation, no explanation. Duke was waiting outside, wagging like the world hadn't shifted on its axis. 2 days later, a federal lawsuit was filed. And once evidence started rolling in, it rolled in heavy. 3 doorbell cameras caught the entire sidewalk interaction from different angles. The kids' live stream showed the moment the cuffs went on. A real estate drone filming aerial footage just happened to capture the patrol car blocking my path. Timestamps matched his body cam second for second. 6 months later, the city settled for $850,000. No admission of liability. They never admitted out loud, you know what I mean. But settlements have a way of speaking plain English. Officer Holloway was terminated for violating detainment protocol, and his certification was flagged nationally, which makes finding another badge a lot harder than losing the first one. Quietly, the department added a new rule requiring officers to log reasonable suspicion in the system the moment they initiate a stop. Not later, not after, not when writing reports immediately. As for me, I didn't buy a car or a vacation house or anything flashy. I used the settlement to start a legal aid fund for people who can't afford lawyers when something like that happens to them, because the truth is, most folks in that back seat don't have a law degree and they don't have cameras pointed at them from 3 houses and a drone in the sky. I stayed on the bench another decade, and every time a resisting arrest case came through my courtroom, I watched the footage from the very beginning, never skipped the first minute, because that's where the truth usually lives. People think the big moment is when the cuffs click. It isn't. The real moment is earlier, when someone decides they have authority they haven't actually earned. And here's the part people argue about whenever they hear this story. Some say, I should have just shown my ID. 10 seconds done, no cuffs, no lawsuit, no mess. Others say, if you hand over your rights every time someone demands them without cause, eventually you won't have any left to hand over. Both sides swear they're right. Maybe they are. Maybe neither is. But I'll tell you this, standing on that sidewalk, dog leash in hand, cruiser blocking your path, officer staring at you like you're already guilty, it doesn't feel theoretical anymore. It feels real. It feels personal. It feels like a test you didn't study for. So I want to know honestly, not what sounds brave, not what sounds polite, but what you really think you would have done if that had been you in my place that morning. Would you have pushed back and risked the cuffs, or would you have handed over your ID just to make it end? Tell me in the comments, because these are the moments that decide what kind of society we actually live in.